So from our vantage point here on planet Earth, we get to see that the backdrop to the sun from our perspective here has moved on now out of hexagram gate or star field number 1, creativity, and is now moving into gateway number 43. And just to say, it's a total changing of the seasons, this. When the sun went into hexagram number 1, the chop marks, the 3 markings, the trigram at the bottom of the hexagram moved into 3 solid yang lines. So for the next 6 months, we've got yang right at the bottom of all the hexagrams. So there's something of a creative push. There's something of an outgoing presence there in all of these hexagrams we're going to go through for this next 6 months. So given that, creativity was something that was given to us again by the sun's presence there for us all to remember. We're all co-creators here. It's not like we're isolated and just totally apart from the rest of the universe here. We're all creators and co-creators in whatever it is the story of this universe is. So just to remember that, very important. You know, nobody gets left out of this puzzle and this picture. It's just we all have different ways in which we can participate here. So never forget that. It doesn't mean to say you have to be a great artist or a concert pianist or anything like that. It just means that creativity is something we can put into our life on a regular basis in all we do. And through that, we expand consciousness. We expand the possibilities of what it is that's going on here on this planet. So today we're going to look at this 43rd hexagram. And the 43rd hexagram is this one we call breakthrough. It's the gateway of pure insight, which is actually a misnomer because it's the inner ear. We might say it accords very closely with the third eye. And the third eye is this possibility of viewing life in a singularity. Like our 2 eyes, we have the left eye, the incoming, the absorbing eye, the right eye. This is gateway number 11, by the way, the left eye, the right eye, 17, the outgoing, the expressing of opinions or what it is we figured out. And the 43 in the middle is this one where it just sees or has the potential to recognize a singularity. And we call it breakthrough because when you get an insight, you know, it's like all of a sudden it's opening up something different. It's penetrating creatively into the reality around us, opening up other opportunities, other things that can be seen. And of course, with the sun in gateway number 43, we're going to look across the wheel here, sun up in the top right-hand corner here. Bottom left-hand corner, we have the 23, and it's exactly opposite. So when the sun's in the 43, all of us by transit get the 23 as well, which those of you familiar with human design will know you get this channel from the mind to the throat, this channel of expressing individuality. So we're not expressing thought processes, we're not expressing beliefs, ideas, and concepts. We're expressing knowing. It's a whole different thing. It's not knowledge. Right? Knowledge is something that's been put on a library shelf somewhere or you find on the internet somewhere. Knowing is entirely an internal thing. And very much to say about this, it's in the individual circuitry in human design, and individual circuitry is very much about the acoustics. So we see the 43 is very much the inner ear. It just, something goes off in the head. Something goes off in the mind and it's like, whoa, what's that? We get a flash of inspiration, we get an insight, we get a frequency match into something we're not necessarily expecting. And the great thing then is, how do you express this? And the 23 has this voice in the throat that says, I know. It's not I think, it's not I believe, it's I know. And so this channel involves quite a bit of translation from whatever the insight is into a language or noises or expressions that other people can relate to. Because generally, you'll see in the world, we work on a collective basis. We go along with what we've been told. The school system is all about learning everybody else's knowledge. And so getting insight is definitely penetrating into one's own knowing. So it can be really puzzling until one recognizes the 43 to the 23 is expressing things in a unique and individual way. We give it a title, this channel, apart from the expression of individuality, and we call it structuring. And structuring because if an insight is put forth and it lands, and people see, okay, whatever was going on before now has gone, and we've got a whole new way of looking at something. And then the next insight follows on, and there becomes another level of comprehension of what it is that's going on. So it starts building a whole new framework of possibility. And as I say, the bottom line of it is very creative. It's opening up new possibilities. So the whole trick with this channel, the 4323, and particularly with the insights, is can you find the language that expresses it clearly so that other people can get it? Because very often we have to call this channel the channel from genius, when you manage to put something across and everyone goes, ooh, wow, amazing. Where'd you get that from? To freak, where everyone says, hang on a minute, you're saying things, we're feeling really nervous here, we're leaving now. So speech skills, that's the bottom line here. Speech skills that are involved in attuning to what the insight is and to how it's going to be expressed. And a lot of times, if the speech skills are not there, nothing needs to be said until the speech skills are there, or the right audience is in front of you, or you're in a situation where it's just whatever you say, it's going to hit the spot. It's going to come through. People are going to recognize, we really need to listen here. So breakthrough, the gateway of insight, inner hearing, if you will. You receive new perceptions, and by remaining resolute to your insights, reform old ways and habits. That's the thing. Can the 43 remain resolute when you get the insight and you see something and it's so different from whatever it is that's been playing out before? Can you remain resolute? And if you do, it will reform all kinds of old ways and habits. It's a very quick way of breaking patterns and habits and unconscious behaviors and things that are just stuck. All of a sudden, got to do something differently. And so we can look at this and just see life is not working out for you. You know, you're dissatisfied with what's going on in your life. And all of a sudden you get this breakthrough. All of a sudden you get this insight. Wow, I could change everything here. So remaining resolute and also changing attitudes is going to count for a lot here. So the commentary on this line, great serenity is required to assimilate new concepts so they can be delivered clearly. Anytime you have the 43, there's a tendency to want to gush, to blurt out, to say, wow, just had this thing happen, just got this insight here. And if there's any pressure behind it, or you're trying to convince somebody about the importance, I mean, it may be an amazing insight you just had, but if there's a pressure, if you're not sure in yourself, if you're not, as a projector, being called on to deliver this insight, or as a generator, you're not getting the gut response, hey, here I go, then you'll see that there's a lot of challenges around delivering that insight really clearly. Paying attention to the bright spark, and it really is that, a bright spark within that eliminates hesitation and promotes resolution, that there's such a clarity around this, the inner ear. So very, very powerful gateway, this 43. It can completely break fossilized concepts, ideas, habits, resolutions, traditions. It can completely rearrange these things in an innovative and creative way. But there's a lot of requirement for the speech skills and knowing how to use them. So let's have a look through the lines here. All 6 lines we have, and we start off with the first line, 43 with the first line. The foundation is to be vigilant. And what the vigilance requires is no need to rush blindly into employing new insights. Right? Just the insight is there. Hold it. Stay with it. Be with it. It's not about thinking your way through it. It's like this is something that's completely broken into new territory. Your resignation and intent are needed to replace old ways and implement new insight. So a lot of grounding, a lot of internal presence, if I can say it like that. Pluto gives it a flavor. You need strong resolve to implement transformation from your insights. Because what can very often happen with the 43, if you speak it out and it's not somebody that can hear it from you, all of a sudden they're saying, oh, that doesn't mean anything. There's nothing to it. Why are you telling us these things? So strong inner resolve is needed. First lines always give the foundation to a hexagram. And Venus says you have an aesthetic admiration, but sometimes a difficulty in implementing your insights. You recognize the beauty of the insight. You see amazing possibilities that come from it. But just, we're not going to ruffle everyone. We're just going to keep everything calm and cool here. No need for me to give forth on this. Great difficulty implementing your insights if you give into, well, what's everyone going to think of me? The second line, the natural line, the one that just comes from this place of innocence, if you will, but also has that potential complication of being in denial. Did I really get that insight? And the line is called being resolute. A clear mind gives access to clear outcomes. So what it's saying is try as much as possible. You get an insight, don't overthink it. Staying true or not to your way of relating insights affects whether they ever become a reality. A great sadness for the second line is to have all kinds of extraordinary insights, but you never actually see them coming to fruition. And it's just you can back away from them. So it's staying true or not to your way of relating insights. Pluto gives it the flavor. You have an inbuilt means to assimilate insights that facilitates personal transformation. The transformation happens on the inside. You break with the patterns. You step forward into a new way of doing things, a new way of life. And all of a sudden you realize you've assimilated these insights in a way that it can bring about personal transformation, and that will in turn lead towards transforming everything that comes through you and into your interactions, your relationships, and whatever it is that you create and put out into the world. And the moon gives it another flavor. You tend to be actively engaged in avoiding anyone who might complicate your life. Right? You back away so far into your own insights, and you don't want any challenges. You don't want anyone to tell you otherwise. You don't want other input. None of these lines are good or bad. It's just to see what the flavors are possible. The two extremes of any line can be, in a sense. The third line is always having an issue around commitment. Do I get involved here? Is this something really important for you to be involved? Is it just touch and go, or shall I move on to the next thing? And here the line calls itself being resilient, standing your ground in implementing your way. Right? This is an insight that's coming from inside you. It's something that can resonate very, very deeply and profoundly inside you. And so the whole thing is, can you hold your ground while you're implementing it, while you're putting it out? Your own resolve or insecurity relating to your personal insights affects all facets of your life. Pluto gives it the flavor. When aligned with your insights, you resist any criticism in achieving your purpose. Whatever comes at you with, thank you for sharing. Nice, I'll take that into advisement. I'm following my own truth here. I'm following my own insight here. And then the moon gives it a flavor. You can become unsure in the soundness of your insights when challenged by others. Oh, you don't like what I'm telling you? You don't think this is a valid insight I've just had? Oh, well. And there's that possibility, the third line, well, I'm not going to commit to it at all. I'm just going to back away from it and just carry on as before. We get to the fourth line, and the fourth line has this influential quality about it. It just sees, I've got this insight, I've got to be able to tell things. I've got to be able to tell people what it is I've just had. So there's this whole sense of being restless. If you're unable to hear sage advice, you remain indecisive. So what is this sage advice? The sage advice is hold your horses. hang on a minute. Have you got the right people in front of you before you start telling everybody what it is you've got? Are you going to start blurting everything out and getting people estranged from you? Because that can what? That is the sage advice here, is get the sense of what it is that's happened to you. It is hard to surrender to life circumstances when your mind emphatically craves change. And what can happen with the fourth line, it can be really disruptive. It throws out insights expecting everyone to get it. Whether they should be able to understand it is, I've got this insight, it's so amazing. And then you find, wow, people don't get it at all, and I'm feeling really left out. Nobody wants to be around me or be engaged in my insights here. So Mercury gives it a flavor. You recognize the need to be objective when consider implementing your insights. Objective, right? What are they going to hear from me? Have I got the right people in front of me? Am I relaying it in a way that people can comprehend it, or am I just blurting it out any old how and expecting everyone to get it? And here the Mars energy, if you insist on implementing insights that are obviously not feasible, you will be distressed. You put things out and people they may hear it, they don't know what to do with it. And you don't know how to take it any further. It's just, well, I had this flash in my head and I needed to say it. I felt pressured to say it, but, right, doesn't go anywhere. And that for a fourth line can be really upsetting, that you're putting out something that for you, you sensed it was really profound, but it just doesn't carry across. Then we get to the fifth line. The fifth line, the line of leadership and the natural teacher of things. And the line here is being forthright. Implementing any new insights requires great thoroughness. So the fifth line is always in this situation. People look to me to be able to provide leadership and guidance and teaching because I get the view, I get the vision. And certainly with the fifth line, with the 43, there can be a very, very powerful vision here. But it requires thoroughness. It requires reality checks. Fifth lines, they can very easily go off into the unreasonable, that doesn't make any sense, nobody's going to get it, and there's no practicality to it. They can also get stuck in a state of rescuing people. If I tell them this, surely it's going to sort out their situation for them. And so what this line is saying is be forthright. Deliver what is really needed, and in a way that people can get it. You grow through implementing your personal insights or succumb to irrelevant input. Fifth lines, just like second lines, live in a projection field. People are always projecting onto the 43. Oh, this person knows what he's doing, what he's thinking, what he's saying. And so here's the thing of relevant input. Am I trying to play the audience here, or am I just delivering something in a very forthright way that I sense is going to carry people forward? The moon gives it a flavor. You have a sensibility to know the conditions in which your personal insights will work out. You just get it. You see it. You see the picture. You see how it all unfolds, how people can get it, how it can really up-level their lives. I mean, in the end, this is what the 4323 is all about. It's about taking things up into a new dimension. The whole thing with the 43 is the challenge to get the insight into a way in which it can be made practical for people. And with Venus here, you have a hopeful expectation that others will readily agree with your fresh insights. Hopeful expectation, great expectations. And surely people are going to get what I'm telling them here. And by just presuming that, the 43 really can't presume anything. It's like people are either going to get it or not. It's up to you to be able to relay the insight. The insight's unique to you. Nobody else has got it. You're really in that situation of wanting to put something forward that nobody else has got it. The same viewing of it. How do you express something completely novel? Then we get to the sixth line. The line is called redirecting, fostering acceptable and practical growth from insights. The sixth line always sits at the top end of the hexagram, and it's just viewing everything and just seeing, how are people going to get this? I've had this insight. I see how things can go forward. How can I present it in a way that it is able to be fused into people's lives so they don't find complications? They just see the sensible genius in it, and they don't feel all freaked out and concerned, this is really going to turn my life inside out. Your careful objectivity ensures that your insights will lead towards lasting transformation. That is an amazing thing with the sixth line, is presenting something in such a way that people cannot help but just be fascinated by it. Of course, you've got to remember, in this situation with the sun in the 43, the earth in the 23, and there is that whole thing of needing to be really grounded in what it is that gets put forward. You utilize your objectivity to review your insights and assure that they are useful to others. From the sixth line, it's possible to get insights about all kinds of different things in life. Everything can become an insight. But then how do you relay it into the world that is very much working on a collective basis, following the rules, following what's always been done, all the traditions and everything? Mars here, if you're attracted only to the brilliance of your insights, you may easily become ostracized. And there it is. That's the penalty for not being able to express things in a way that is functional, useful, practical, and easy for people to comprehend and implement into their lives. So there we are, 43. This is a great time to be allowing all of us to kind of polish up the third eye a little bit, polishing up our sense of attunement and our hearing abilities. Because after all, you know, it's a deep vibrational acoustic sensation. The inner ear is able to hear it. So let's see what happens in this as the sun makes this transit through gateway number 4.